This didn't go. Oh, there it went. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Inn of Auld Syne. We got Seb and Matt and Mike with you as per usual.
Hello.
And
Hello, everybody.
we are just sitting here reflecting on this Sunday afternoon. We're a little earlier than we would normally do this, but it's a long weekend. We're a couple of us are feeling a little rough, and one of us is out there exercising, making us look like
Bunch of
bags of
fools.
crap. Bunch of fools. Do you pity us, Mike?
No,
You
Okay.
don't pity the fool?
Yeah.
I know if you're hungover, that's honestly that's a personal problem, and that's I, I could have two beer and I'd be hungover, so I don't. I'm
I
not
am
really.
slightly hungover.
You probably
Yeah.
had more than two beer last night
I
as
am
well.
slightly more than hungover.
Yes. What did you get up to last night, there, young man?
I just went to a friend's house
Nice.
after work. We had an incident at work too. So
Ooh.
the year I was just telling Matt earlier, one of our servers got punched in the head by someone that wasn't allowed in the pub.
Holy
And
shit!
yeah, so that was fun. And then another server sat on them until the police got here and they arrested her and took her to the drunk tank, I
That's
guess.
amazing.
Yeah, so the year ended off with a bang. So
What a way to end it. Holy shit. That is cool,
yeah,
Matt. What did you get up to last night?
We went over to some friend's house. We got a pretty tight circle of well, I guess we're down to about five of us now that hang out here on a regular basis. We just went over there, had a couple drinks, played a couple of games, and just basically whiled the evening away and came home and yeah, just
board
stayed up way
games.
too late. We were playing. Um, there was a card game of like you got to search for stuff on your phone or come up with an answer to a question, and then there was my buddy Greg wrapped up a bunch of stuff in a big giant thing of cellophane, and we had to unwrap that and get the goodies that were throughout. Um,
Nice.
yeah, it was about all we could handle, and yeah,
Sounds like a fun
I
night.
just I got up early and drove my kids and their brother out to see their mom in Chilliwack,
Nice.
and then came home and tried to nap. But
Okay,
for
well
some reason, the
here's a
farm is
question
jumping
for you
today.
guys
Yeah.
Okay.
because yesterday was a celebration. It's New Year's Eve. For those people that don't know, it's New Year's Day today when we're doing the podcast. So we decided to like jump right into the year with a podcast to set the precedent for the rest of the year. Um, Obviously, you guys have celebrated New Year's in the past. What is your like go-to drink?
I'm a beer guy.
Or like your cocktail or beer, like what is it that you like? Okay, we're going out. I have these when I'm going out.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm a
And
beer
Mike, you
guy.
have to go back a few years, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, last night was bubbly, so I'm not that exciting.
But like in the past, like when you were celebrating
Most
things, or
likely it would be beer. I'd drink some beer, and then obviously if you're out with groups of friends at a house, people say, "Hey, here, try this, it's good," and try that, it's good, and then you start mixing, and that's just game over. But
so like any beer or just
I was always like a honey brown kind of guy,
okay,
Hmm.
something a little sweeter,
yeah,
or if I was feeling adventurous, I'd go the complete opposite of the spectrum and have Guinness or something and feel
nice,
have a Guinness, and then you're pretty much so full you can't eat anything. And but
yeah,
yeah, like usually would be beer. I can't. I've never been able to hold my liquor. You guys have seen the best and
Yeah.
worst of me in that sense. And
Well, I think we've
yeah,
all had our
yeah, right.
moments there.
And I've had a couple of beer over I've had two beer over my holidays. It's been like 10 days, and then living on the edge. Talk about it.
Mike,
And
you need to calm down.
I know
You need to like
I have
relax
a
a
real
little bit.
problem. It's but yeah. How about you, Matt? What's your the old go to when you're
For the
New
most
Year's
part,
ended up?
I stick to Coors Light as a diet beer, but I'm also a big craft beer guy.
Hmm.
I just found that if I do too much of it, um, either I catch a case of some unpleasant wind, or I just get fat and bloated, and I'm trying to, as we'll get into later, I'm trying to slim down a little bit and not look like, Thor from Endgame. Um, but yeah, last night I picked up what was I drinking? I was drinking. I think it was Steamworks. I think I had a
Well, that's
thing.
good beer.
Oh no, Parallel 49 is
Oh,
what I went with their holiday thing.
Nice.
Um, so I will pick up once every couple of weeks a new flavor or mix pack or something like that, or go out and find a growler from one of our local breweries.
nice. Support local. It's always good.
Yeah, and other than that, if we're going hard stuff, we've been having some interesting shots lately around here. One friend of mine and a friend of the show, Sarah, has found a TikTok where they make interesting shots that shouldn't taste good but
Oh,
do. So we've done a few of those,
I have
and
seen that TikTok before.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we've experimented with a few of those as we're sort of hanging out. But if I'm hard alcohol, it's usually a vodka. Um, just because everything else just for some reason or another doesn't sit well with me, and
no.
either I break out like I'm 14, which I've been also trying to curb, or I just feel like garbage the next day,
Yeah.
and
For
I'm
me,
gonna
it's
have.
just not worth that feeling anymore. Like just well, obviously, Seb, you're not feeling. Well, both of you aren't
Yeah,
feeling the greatest today, and I just can't do it anymore.
This is like the first time I drank in like months, really,
Oh
honestly.
God, yeah,
So,
right.
but
And it's just it never. Well, it's worth it at the time, right?
yeah,
That's what it's all about. It's not about paying for it the next day. It's about the good time at hand.
yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, I've been pretty good in the last long time actually, since I've had here and there, but I know where my limit is. Um, like I say when we get off on our cruise, it's yeah, I'll find that plateau. I'll go
mhm.
up, find the plateau, and that's where I'll live. That way,
So,
I
what are
don't
you drinking on the
Crash.
cruise then? Beer exclusively? Craft
No,
beer?
the normally there's a three stages of alcohol thing. You can have the sober package of water and pop and juice, or you can get the beer and wine, or you can have the full open bar. This year, you didn't really have much of a choice. You had open bar or pop. So they do a really good job of bringing out some cocktails
Okay.
specific for the cruise. Some of them are not. They've just been renamed, but
I'm
some
assuming they're
wrestling themed
wrestling themed. Yeah.
wrestling theme, absolutely, and so I think, and usually it centers on the man himself, Jericho. Um,
So, for those of you
that's
that don't know, Matt goes on a yearly cruise, the Chris
and
Jericho cruise,
we
right?
will, yeah, and we'll
Yeah.
get into that a little bit later, but yeah, absolutely. There's another one coming up in. We will actually be in Miami 1 month from today, on
Nice.
Nice.
our just enjoying the Miami sunshine before we get on the boat. It has been a long time coming. Well, I might as well just get into it now. So it's our
Hold
fourth
on.
year going.
Hold on.
Yep.
My drink of choice, just
Oh,
to clear
absolutely.
this
Yeah,
one up.
Matt, come on.
Sorry. Yep. Geez,
It's okay.
my bad. I
No, 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 it's okay. If I'm drinking socially, it's usually like a vodka soda with like a
Mhm.
lime, and then I will at some point decide to drink spiced rum and cokes, but usually
Oh,
like
there you
Coke
go.
Zero, Diet Pepsi.
Yeah,
And I really like Kraken for some reason. It's an affordable, but it's so good.
it's
Like
good. That's yeah,
it's a really good rum for
it
the
really
price
is.
that you get. Yeah, so
Yeah, and the
those are
bottles are cool. Like it's something
yeah.
you can just display, and it looks kind of neat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So those are my two go to. I don't really drink a lot of beer anymore. Like I can have like one or two, and then
Mhm.
usually I just don't
You
want to
feel
have
full. You
anymore.
just you feel
Yeah.
kind of gross, right?
Yeah. So I'm like almost completely off the beer.
Nice.
But yeah, go ahead, Matt, about the
Actually,
cruise.
could we? I'm
yeah.
curious
No,
about.
we'll get into it later.
I don't have the TikTok like you guys have. I'm not cool like you guys. So, examples of these crazy shots that sound disgusting and they taste really good. I'd like to hear a couple of sort of examples of what is mixed together.
Okay.
I
Um,
don't remember offhand.
yeah. The one that we tried first. Both of these are Fireball based, I believe.
Okay.
It is Fireball and like a banana cream liqueur, which I couldn't find, so I found a banana flavored something or other,
Okay.
and it comes out tasting like a Cinnabon.
Oh yeah, that sounds really good actually.
It is now. We didn't, like I said, having the cream seems to be key. It wasn't quite Cinnabon, but it was um, much better than you would have expected. It was pretty tasty. And then the other one, it was, oh, friend, I can't remember what the
Frangelico.
other Frangelico, thank you, Frangelico and Fireball,
Mm.
and a little whipped cream and a maraschino cherry, and it tastes like Black Forest cake.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, and those were absolutely tasty. We
Mhm.
basically our friend Sarah, friend of the show, had gone out and bought a bottle of Fireball to try. Yes, there she is. Let's get my mouse ready here. And had a bottle of
Frangelico.
Fireball, so we found a couple of things to mix with that. I'm sure we will get into what is coming up down the road once we move on to that.
Yeah,
I think we're probably going to be fairly low key for a while, but I see this picking up again once summer comes around and we're able to have some barbecues and whatnot.
absolutely.
It's I try to steer clear of the hard alcohol. If this bad things happen, like I was saying earlier, but
Mhm.
I'm not
Yeah.
opposed to the occasional shot
No,
here or there. And
Yeah.
well, it's all moderation, right? We're not 19 and stupid anymore. Or,
no, we're not. And speaking of which, that's something I have coming up in when 20
It is.
2023 at the end of February. My oldest turns 19.
oh,
So
good God, you old man.
yeah, dude.
You got to
Yeah.
take her to the bar
Oh yeah, we're
if she hasn't been already herself.
no, she's
Of course she hasn't, Seth. Come on.
We do not condone underage drinking, just to be
Absolutely
clear.
not.
nope,
Absolutely.
not at all. Not at all. They totally don't have some sort of scheme to figure out how to get something on the
No.
cruise.
And we never
I'm
did that
sure.
kind of stuff either
No,
when we were
Never.
turning
No.
19.
No.
It never happened.
But and you guys will know this. She is a chip off the old block at 19. Um,
Nice.
she doesn't drink that much,
Oh,
but
so she collects
um,
comic books then.
yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Definitely
Yeah.
paper involved somewhere.
Yeah.
But once in a while she'll space out and we call her Tammy Chong. So,
No,
Nice.
that's too funny.
but yeah,
That's a marijuana reference.
it's legal now. Whatever.
It is, yes.
Whatever.
Yeah. So it's yeah, I do feel old a lot of times with them. It is what it is. I mean,
Mhm.
Mike, you're gonna catch up quicker than you
Yeah, I
want to
got
believe, buddy.
yeah. In 1 month, I'll have a 14-year-old, so I'm not too far behind.
Teenager.
Yep.
Oh, they're already a teenager.
He's already a
Actually.
teenager.
Yeah.
He's an amazing kid. I don't know if it's a good thing. He's a lot like me, but he's got all of my cautionary traits. Like if he's out, he's out. Like even when I was young, when we would go out, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm done. I just go home."
Yep.
And he's very much like that. If he kind of gets the whiff of being uncomfortable, he's out. So it's a good trait to have. And he's got some other not so good ones either, but whatever.
Eh,
You
get the
but
good,
yeah, no,
good and the
he's
bad.
a really good kid, and I really can't complain. He's amazing. He hugs me randomly still, so it's
Oh, that's
Oh,
so cute.
for a
that's super
fudging
rad, man.
14-year-old young man that's the same height as me, and he's got the little bit of hair going on the upper lip, but
That stuff's gonna end really quickly, by the way. But
oh yeah, like
the kid's
I'm
gonna
not
stop hugging you in a year or two.
yeah, I'm not going to be cool anymore. Like right now, I'm pretty cool, and that I'm trying to work. And boy, he thinks both of us are pretty cool. I shouldn't say it's just me; it's both of us, and we're trying to hang on as
To the
long as
coolness.
we
Like
can.
that is like the thing that you have to hang on as long
Yeah,
as you
we're
can
like,
be the cool parent for as
yes,
long as possible. Because at some point you're like, Dad, you
yeah,
ain't cool anymore.
yeah, and he understands the boundaries we've set for him, and there's no complaining, which is amazing. And
Nice.
yeah, we're and same with Jolene too. I can't. She's an amazing kid, but I think she's going to be a little more trouble.
Yes.
Yes.
I can tell from an early age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, from having 3 daughters, the best thing you can do is practice your dad face. Um, I I may not be the coolest of the parents, but mine still enjoy hanging out with us. They were two of them. The two oldest were with us last night, and they're pretty excited to be coming with us on vacation again. But when they're talking to a boy, my oldest has this habit of she will just wander around the house on FaceTime.
Oh.
Um, drives us all mental because one, we're a 6-person household. The house does not always look that great.
Well,
Um,
this is where you take the opportunity to wander behind it just in your underwear.
well,
Remember,
you know what?
just
It hasn't been on purpose. There have been a couple of times I'm like, what the, oh god damn it. But I will tend to do, and I'm sorry for those of you that are just listening to this. This is going to be a visual thing. When she's on FaceTime with the boy,
Jeez.
for those of you listening, Matt is currently giving the camera the look of doom.
yeah. And I apparently I have a bit of a reputation of being intimidating. Now
You
you guys
know.
know me.
No, come on.
It's not true at all. But
Does that like, do you like secretly like fist pump in the air with that reputation? Like, yeah, I'm
a
intimidating.
little bit, yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good feeling, isn't it?
Like they're not to be fucked with. And then friend of the show Sarah also chiming in here. Her oldest is turning 25, but she's much older than me.
Sarah, I
Much
thought she was
older
like a
than me.
year younger than you.
She's 6 weeks older than me, but it's been a running gag
Yeah.
for a while. But it is. I do enjoy being able to intimidate them. My buddy Greg and when I really enjoy screwing with the boys that get brought around. When my oldest brought her last boyfriend around for the first time, he came over to the house there and sitting on the porch waiting for the barbecue. Greg is sharpening his knife.
Oh, goody.
Pointed
Nice.
to a chair and told him to sit down with the knife.
Oh, good God.
And yeah, so we do enjoy screwing with them, but they're good kids. They don't make they haven't made that bad decision yet, but it's always good to just establish line. It's like she might be older now, she might be an adult or almost an adult, but that's still my little girl, and thou shalt not fuck with it.
Have you guys seen? I assume you guys have seen Bad Boys.
Yes.
A long time ago, yes.
Remember when? What's his name? I think his name's like Randall or something, or I can't remember. But he's going to date Martin Lawrence's. He's taking his daughter out for a date,
Mm-hmm.
and then they answer the door. Reggie is his name. The whole Reggie bit. I
Mhm.
can't say it because there's a lot of N words in the scene, but it's them giving him a hard time, basically.
Yeah.
Do you remember that scene?
Yeah, I do remember that scene. Yeah, that was
He's like, "What's your
that
name,
was
Reggie?
solid.
What kind of stupid name is Reggie?"
Yeah. So I recommend you can be the cool dad and all, but just establish a hierarchy, Mike. Just let them know that, dad's not a pushover.
Yeah. Well, don't worry.
Yeah. And, she's also lucky she's got the older brother.
Yes.
Now,
And they'll be in the
yeah.
same school again next year. He'll be in grade 9. She'll be in grade 7. So
Perfect.
yes. So he'll be the big, because their middle school here goes from grade 7 to 9, and then senior high would be 10 to 12. So he'll be the big cheese next year, and anyone messing with her, I think will get. And he's got some big hockey player friends that are really nice boys as well. And I don't think there's going to be any issues with if she needs any help, they'll come running. So
The boys are there.
the boys
Excellent.
are there.
And,
Yeah.
Uncle Seb will make a drive if he has to.
I
Will make a
would.
drive if he has to. He loves
I
his
know.
JoJo, so he.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly
she's a
it.
special person. I mean,
Yeah.
both of your kids are special
Yeah.
people, but I just always remember carrying her around and her never wanting to get off of me.
Well, next time you see her, it'll be the same. She's just a lot bigger now.
Oh, good.
So
Oh,
you better
good.
start working out or
Yep.
something.
No, I mean, and I've
Yeah.
I've only seen you around Mike's kids a couple of times. We all hadn't hung out in a long time, just due to one, Mike moving up to Kamloops, and then just
Yeah.
we all have our own space, and we've managed to reconnect. But I have seen Seb with JoJo a couple of times, and that's you're a special uncle
It's
there.
something special. Like honestly, I'm not
I
kidding.
love her so much.
Not saying just you are like to
Yeah.
her, you are family, and to me, you're
Oh, yeah.
family too. But it's just
Absolutely,
like
yeah,
to
we're
have
all
that connection is so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
It's amazing.
was it a Denny's we were in last spring?
We
Just
were at Denny's.
watching him
Yeah.
and JoJo do
Yeah.
their thing.
Well, that was the whole
together at
Seven
table.
JoJo show. That's why we
Oh, wow.
That's what it turned into. It was awesome.
And
Yeah,
then
no,
the
it was-
smoothie
it
gets
was really
knocked
cool to
down.
see.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. There ain't no outing with my family without something getting knocked
Yeah.
over.
Of course, that's just
Yeah,
the way it
well,
works.
Whatever.
That happens. I mean,
Usually
and that sort of brings me into my major reflection for 2022 was getting getting to reconnect to this degree with you guys and starting this show has been absolutely fantastic. Mike, this was a great idea. I know it was Cooper's sort of put the seed in your head,
Yeah.
but this has been awesome. I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to 2023 building
Yeah.
on this,
Absolutely.
really finding our groove. I think we're getting better and better as we go.
Yeah.
And we'll have some pretty cool stuff in store. We're still learning how to do some of
Do
this
it.
stuff, but I think we've got some major legs up, and it's just getting to talk to you guys, the group chat on a daily basis or
Absolutely.
so.
I think if nothing comes of this, it's the reconnection of our friendships and being like we're closer now than we've been in 20 years, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm taking out of this is that you guys are the two best friends I've ever had, and it was just getting hard to not have you guys. I'm going to get cheesy here, but not have you guys in my life on the regular. And like when we talk, when I come down for concerts, things were we were quiet. Because our lives are so different, right? And now we're talking all the time, and it's just, it's awesome.
The connection is definitely
awesome.
there. Yeah, for sure. And it's virtually, but nonetheless, it's still a connection. So, and we all like the same stuff anyways. So it's just nice to be able to chat about it on a regular basis and share it with people too, right? So
I mean, absolutely. And Mike being up there, and just with the work schedules between Seb and I, they're kind of offset. So even though he lives actually really not that far from me, and
it's a 3-hour drive from your house, Matt, and it's not that bad.
Well, you got to go off-roading, and then you got to figure out how to
we got to drive through some farms.
You got to take the canoe through the swamp, and then
Oh, you've seen my front yard, have you? Since the snow melted, we now have a lake.
You have a lake? Yard. You got lakefront property, dude. It's perfect.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. If I only owned it, it would be much, much better.
Even better.
But with no cows this year, the water's a little cleaner.
No doubt.
So we got that. So that's what else? What are the highlights of 2022 has been going on for you guys? What really struck with you?
Well, I'm just going to say 2 words, and then that's all we're going to talk about. World Cup. We don't need to talk about that anymore because we've talked about so many of that
But it was such a big thing, and I think I didn't watch much of the one in 18, but I didn't really watch a ton of this one either. But I followed stuff and listening to you, sort of explain things and keeping up and having my kids somewhat involved. It sort of made it more special. We watched the final live as it happened. We didn't watch it live, but whatever. We watched it a couple hours later, and it was awesome. Another thing missing from my life was soccer.
Yeah, it was weird because it's the first time in the history of the World Cup that it was not held in July or in August, like June and July, because normally they're always held in the summer. But obviously, with it being in Qatar, the players are gonna die on the field if they're have to run for 90 minutes in 50-degree weather, right? So
they'd be dead.
So they made the move to the winter. So it was kind of a weird timing because normally soccer, when it's the World Cup's in July, there's only baseball really is the only thing that's on. But now you have the World Cup and NFL and NHL and so many different sports are happening at the same time. So
and then professional football, professional soccer is still going on in not only North America, which is really not that. I don't want to say not that big of a deal, but it is not as taken as seriously.
The Premier League was shut down. The big leagues were down.
Yeah. Okay.
But all the sort of lower tier stuff, I think, was still going, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Like the League One and all the lower divisions were going on, but obviously most of the players that play in the Premier League are going to be in the World Cup because they play in the highest league. So they just put it on hold. So the top,
much like the NHL will shut down for the Hockey World Cup and the Olympics. Okay, that's cool because I do have a friend over in England, and she is a huge supporter of her team. I'm not going to screw up the name because if you do that, they will kill you.
Don't do that.
So I'm not even going to take a guess, but on a daily.
What's the team?
Here, and I honestly.
Come on.
Come on. Now you've given too much. You have to tell us.
I honestly, I couldn't pick it out.
Are they in the Premier League?
I'm not 100% sure. Give me a couple minutes to look this up, and I will let you know. But
Liverpool, it's a tough one.
It's probably Leicester.
Leicester City or something.
Leicester City.
So, Seth, did you did you like it more being in the winter this time as opposed to always being in the summer?
It was this. It was a like. I think in the second game, Saudi Arabia beating Argentina in the group stages kind of set the precedent for like, oh, anything can happen in this tournament. And I don't think it was the time of year when it was on more so than the sheer quantity of upsets that actually happened, because a lot of teams were beating teams that they had no business beating.
Well, look at Morocco, man. They had no business beating anybody.
Exactly,
really.
right? Yeah. So after the first round, you kind of like, you're not watching a game and going like, this is a foreseen conclusion. Like you legitimately don't know who's going to win the game. Even teams that are desperately outclassed on paper were somehow winning, right?
Yeah.
And it was special because it's the first time Canada was in a World Cup. So, yeah, I don't know.
And it sucks for Canada too, because they kind of ran into a buzzsaw in their group, because with the Czechs and Morocco making it to the Final Four, like they really had
Croatia.
Sorry, Croatia. My bad. My apologies, Croatia. Yes, and then they made Croatia mad by running their mouths, and it's like, dude, guys, come on, you got to do something before you can run your mouth. And they ran their mouths, and then they got killed, and then Morocco just put the nail in the coffin. And just like, oh, boys, what are you doing? You
kind of feel good though, knowing that the two teams that made it out of your group both made it to the semifinals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a huge win. Canada was in the toughest group in the whole tournament.
Yeah, and they really were.
They scored a couple goals. They got a good team, and come 26, they're going to be much seasoned. And
even the second ranked team on the planet didn't make it out of that group. Like Belgium's a second ranked team, and you're like, well, Belgium sucks. And then you actually look at the tournament, how it unfolded, and both Croatia and Morocco made it to the semifinals. And they played again in the third place match, Croatia and Morocco.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like, goes to show you like, wow, they were literally in like the toughest group.
Yeah. And Croatia, finishing second in 18 and third this time. They're no joke, man. Like they were getting overlooked left and right because they're an older
yeah, they're going to be in a tough spot in 4 years, just because the like Modric, who's like their heart and soul midfielder, will be 41, I think. So I can't see him playing in the next World Cup.
They might.
Go ahead.
Just to go back to that, yes, I'm going to apologize right now. Sorry, Lise. It is Liverpool that she is a fan of. So you guys nailed it without even knowing.
Wow.
You'll never walk alone. Matt has no idea what that means.
Nope, not a clue.
That's the Liverpool motto. You'll never walk alone. Yeah.
So it's but yeah, and so I see some of it filter through, but I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't follow. But yeah, I had to make sure before I mention her name and the football club, because if I screwed it up, it's entirely possible she ends up booking on the cruise and kills me. So
just for
very good team.
Reason alone.
All right, so I'm sorry I interrupted there. You finished.
No, you're good.
That's fine.
Okay, so what have you guys been watching and listening to this last year that have really struck with you?
Can we get into the little texting discussion we had about a certain movie I watched the other night?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we were bored the other night, and we were looking for something kind of mindless to watch, and I'm like, this movie Reign of Fire looks super cheesy, and
you'd never seen it?
I'd never seen it.
Okay.
I had never seen it. So, looking at the cast, it had Matthew McConaughey, Christian Bale, and Gerard Butler. On paper, what the hell could go wrong, right? It's amazing. McConaughey's all jacked, and he's just like super macho guy.
Gritty. He did that movie right in the middle of his pretty boy rom-com phases too.
And I get why he would do it, especially at that time, 2002. Like you say, you come off of Contact, all these cool rom-coms, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's Matthew McConaughey.
Makes sense, right?
He's Matthew McConaughey. I want to do an action movie. He's not a good action guy. There's a reason why he's only done like one, and that was the one movie. But what struck me about Reign of Fire, it could have been absolutely amazing. Like it could have been a groundbreaking, awesome movie. It was too short. It was only an hour 45 minutes. There wasn't enough time to set anything up. Like it was like, okay, we got this kid being allowed to crawl into this hole in a cave under London, and you're like, well, okay, that's okay. And then he sees a dragon, he gets dragon goo sprayed all over him, and then his mom gets whatever. And then they give you the Coles Notes version of what the next 20 years are. It's like, okay, boom, dragons come out. There's 1,000 dragons for every one you kill, or whatever, and then they basically annihilate the planet, and this is what's left.
Yep. Burn it all,
okay.
eat the ash.
Yeah, and then you have all these groups of people. It took place in England, or Ireland, I think, and living in castles because dragons can't, they can't burn the rock, so the castles stay alive, whatever. But it was no story. Like it came. There was dragons.
A good time.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, it was. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but if this movie was remade and you turned it into a 10-episode Netflix series, you could build on the fall, you can build on the rebuilding of society.
Yeah.
You can still have all the, McConaughey doing his cheesy mumbo jumbo stuff and Mr. Macho Man crap.
Now, I'm just gonna ignore the whole spoiler thing. The movie is 20 years old at this point.
There is no spoilers. If you haven't seen it, there's no story to spoil anyway.
Yeah.
There's
dragons. There is a moment to spoil though.
For those, hold on. For those of the people that don't know, Reign of Fire is about a dragon in the modern day world. Like it's awakened, right?
Yeah,
it's been 20 years since I've seen the movie, so I can't.
Yes. Yeah. I've seen it multiple times. That's exactly it. They wake up a mother dragon.
Who's been sleeping under London somehow or something.
Yeah, somehow.
She breeds, then there's dragons everywhere, and they
kill everybody, and then the world tries to nuke them, and then they nuke the planet, and it's just like, holy crap. Even with that.
Yes, Sarah, yes.
So Sarah is going to be showing, Sarah, I'm going to ask you right now not to. I will come over tomorrow, and we will watch Reign of Fire.
There you go.
Now there's, the thing is, so you have these people, I believe they're living in somewhere in England, maybe Scotland. Christian Bale sort of leading it. The play they put on for the people was awesome. The nightly entertainment in their little village. Is a play version of.
Well, you can't spoil anything because Sarah's going to watch it tomorrow.
It's not important.
But you get invested. McConaughey and all these soldiers get over there, and he is a Kentucky military badass.
Okay. Can I stop you there for a second?
Yep.
How did he get over there? And how is there still jet fuel 20 years later to fly things?
See, and that's what bothers me about.
But you guys are going way too into this.
This is high quality cinema we're talking about here.
Oh, and look who else we have here.
The best part of the movie was how the cool dragons look. And
my lovely wife. There you go.
Well, your wife would have wanted to watch rom-com instead of Reign of Fire.
No. Hey, easy now.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And there's very little story. However, you just get invested in this Kentucky badass, and you think, here, and he has this big dramatic moment. He is coming at this thing with an axe.
Which, by the way, looks so bad.
Oh yeah, no, it looked terrible.
Oh my god, you should just YouTube that scene because it's like, what the hell? Like, where did this come from?
But I remember seeing this. This was one of the staff screenings we watched way back in the day, before I was anywhere close to getting up the chain in the theater program. And he does this dramatic giant axe leaping at the dragon. It's your ass, big guy, and he's a fucking Tic Tac.
And that's
gone.
And it's like all just this like build with him, and it's like for that, it's like okay, that was. It was just like, why? Like, I don't know.
It was really no different than a Fast and the Furious. There's no story. It's just a ride.
It's a good time. It's not a groundbreaking story or anything, but
yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to see it fleshed out because it's a whole world you could open up, right? Like, I think no one's going to remake it. No one's going to turn it into a TV show, but it's something that could be worthy of being remade. I think
they've remade more obscure stuff.
Well, they've remade dumber stuff. Like it's
100%.
Everything gets remade.
I would like to see it happen, but who knows? You mentioned that movie the other day, and that is much like Sarah mentioned, showing it to her youngest later. It's I showed it to my stepson, who is now 25, 26. Um, and he
Ring
thought
of
it was
Fire.
the best thing in when he was 5 or 6, and it was
It's like shitty Mad Max with dragons. That's kind of
absolutely.
what I got out of it.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yep.
Yeah.
but the
In an
vehicles
urban
were all,
cityscape.
yeah, the vehicles were
Yeah.
too shiny though. Like for 20 years of wear and tear, the army
Yeah.
vehicles are brand new, the chopper's still flying, and I know I'm going too deep into the apocalyptic stuff, and the lights were still on. Okay, maybe I can get around lights generators, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
The
how
gas.
dangerous.
Yeah, and you see that a lot. Walking Dead is just notoriously guilty
Yes.
of it because I mean that show, one, it went on for 11 years, but there was a time jump in there, so it's like a 15 or 16 year show
Period.
time.
Yeah.
Gas doesn't last that long. And
No.
you see it all the time. You see it in Mad Max. You see it in Rain of Fire. You see it in a lot of these post-apocalyptic things where the cars are still running. It's like, no, gas
They
don't work
wouldn't.
like
Yeah.
that. Is there some warlord out there running a petroleum plant? Like,
Yeah,
is
exactly.
somebody
And
sitting at
adding
the
all the additives to
Possibly,
keep the
yeah.
gas alive, blah blah blah. It's like, no, and who's digging up the
Yeah.
oil? It's just, I don't know. It's just the whole thing.
yeah?
So was
it's-
that like the best movie you watched this year, Matt or Mike?
No, no. It just struck me as how, even because I'm notorious for falling asleep during shitty movies too, and I would make the wife watch the whole thing, and I'm snoozing away on the couch, and I did fall asleep about 10 minutes in.
We know we were
Understandable.
doing that with you when you first got a DVD player 25
Yeah,
years
right.
ago.
I can't help it. So I missed like 20 minutes of the movie, and I woke up and I'm like, well, how the
Well,
hell?
there you go. How do
Yeah,
you
I'm
know
like,
what's
where are all the
going
damn
on?
dragons? It's about time.
That's-
The wife's like, what the hell, man?
You missed the
like,
20 minutes. Yeah, you missed the
Yeah.
20 minutes of plot.
I
Way
missed
to
the
go, buddy.
I missed the farm stuff where all the farm kind of got.
Mhm.
Yeah, I missed all that. So
Have
anyway,
you
whatever.
have you guys seen the new Knives Out movie, Glass Onion?
Yes.
Yeah, we watched that the other night.
Actually,
Did you like
we
it?
watched we watched both of them Friday night. What was it? It's Sunday,
One
right?
back.
I'm in that
Is it
weird
Sunday?
spot.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Sure.
we watched Knives Out and Glass Onion on Friday night, and that was the first one was really good. The second
Did you like the
one
second one?
was better. I
Really?
liked the
It's
second one.
really
I don't
good.
know. I like the first one way better.
And there we go. My one of my co-directors of social affairs, because she was sitting. It was actually Sarah's idea. Yes, it was Friday.
Here's my problem with the Knives Out series.
Mhm.
It's like, why can't Daniel Craig just be from England?
That's what got me
Fair
was
enough.
the
It's
accent.
so jarring. I can't. I just keep thinking about his accent the entire time I'm watching both of them.
Like his accent wasn't bad either.
No,
Like,
but
it
it's
was-
Daniel Craig. Just have him be from, like, why does he have to be from Kentucky? I think he's
James
from
Bond
Kentucky.
can't be from the South. It just doesn't work that
Just
way.
have
right?
him be from England, and
Yeah.
just like, and then that way it's just fine. It's just distracting to me. Also, I fell asleep for an hour, the first hour of the Glass Onion, and I didn't miss a goddamn thing.
No,
Because the story doesn't actually start until like the
No,
59-minute mark.
I agree.
Not
So-
really.
We were not very deep into Knives Out when I made a comment to my wife and Sarah. Like, he sounds like Foghorn Leghorn, and then I nearly killed myself
Yes,
laughing.
It does.
Later on,
I'll
in
tell
the
you what,
movie
I'll tell you
when,
what.
I was like-
when Chris Evans is ripping him apart and calls him Foghorn Leghorn, I was like, "Thank you." But the cast is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Did you notice that he was hiding in the movie?
Yes, I did see that. He hides in every one of Ryan Johnson's movies.
Yeah.
He's in every single Ryan Johnson movie.
Yeah, he was in the first scene of Knives Out as the voice on the podcast, and
Yeah.
he was the gong, the automated gong in the Glass
Yeah.
Onion.
No way.
Yeah,
Every
No, he
Ryan
is-
Johnson
That's
movie
hilarious.
directed by Ryan Johnson, he's in it somehow.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I felt like the first one was way better than the second one. I just felt that there was too much actors trying to portray characters in the second one.
Mhm.
Like they're trying to portray specific typecast characters in it, and it didn't feel as organic or as real as the first one. It was also the fact that I was dead tired when they put it on and I fell asleep for the first hour.
Yeah, that doesn't really help.
But then apparently
I
it
stayed
didn't.
awake for that one, so couldn't have been that bad.
No, but apparently it didn't miss anything because it doesn't really start until
There's a lot of
Yeah.
sort of needless talking, and
Yeah.
it's just like holy crap. Like
the
it
hourly
kind of
doll.
has
That's
like
right. Yeah.
a Tarantino kind of vibe to it, and it's
Yeah.
just the dialogue's not as clever as what Tarantino can write.
Yeah.
You know what
It
I mean?
seems like it was written during COVID, and like
Oh, totally was.
the
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
other problem is like why is COVID even like why did they even mention it in the movie? It has no impact whatsoever in the story.
No.
Like there's no reason for it to be a COVID movie.
Maybe to explain people wearing masks and having to spray
Yeah,
that crap in their mouth, maybe.
Yeah, but like it's not a part of the story. Like
No.
there's no
I think
reason.
it's just to mark the time.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
something
timestamp. Yeah, for sure.
that I've sort of seen where they ignore it, and then they go ahead and they say, well, it's it's 2021, like it's set, but there's no masks or anything, and anybody that lived through that says, well, it's 2021, but fuck you, like
Mhm.
we were all
Yeah.
in masks and we weren't supposed to be going anywhere, and we had pricks on the street yelling at us whether we were wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, or the tinfoil hat army had to have their say in everybody's lives, and I didn't mind it. I thought some of the performances in The Glass Onion, Ed Norton and Kate Hudson, really made a mark. I mean, they're not really
Yeah.
in major motion pictures lately, whether they're choosy or for whatever reason. We just don't see them as much as we did
No,
at the
it was
turn
nice
of
to
the
see Ed Norton
century.
again because he's so
And
talented and so good.
Okay, I'm
and
gonna.
let's be honest here. Ryan Johnson just got himself in a shit ton of Twitter heat because he said Dave Bautista is the best thing to come out of wrestling as far as Hollywood goes, and there was
I was gonna
John
make a
Cena and The
comment.
Rock.
No,
And
hold on. I was
okay,
just about to say this is
Yep.
going to be my hot
Okay.
take, but I'm claiming now, and you can mark my words, that Dave Bautista is going to be a better actor than Dwayne Johnson or anyone else in wrestling. I think he's on a trajectory to be like a really good action actor.
Okay, now I'm
Swear
a
to God.
wrestling guy. I'm a wrestling guy.
Okay, I'll sort of piggyback
Go
off of
ahead,
Seb.
Mike.
I don't think The Rock's all that good. He plays the same dude in every movie.
No, but Dave
And
Bautista is going to be more bankable than The Rock at some point. They're going to switch. People are going to tire of The Rock.
Obviously, he's in everything that comes out.
Yeah.
It's like enough already. Sorry, Dwayne, we don't care anymore. Like you're doing whatever you're doing.
But how good is he as Drax?
Oh, he's
Like,
great.
can
And
you
he's
see
also-
anyone else's Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, and he was really good in Blade Runner 2049.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he does movies like The Rock does. Like he's like the Schwarzenegger of this generation. He does certain movies that fits his talent. And Matt's probably gonna reach through the screen, but
No, you go right ahead.
I'm just
You
gonna
guys
keep-
go
I'm
right
gonna
ahead.
keep
I'll get my
digging.
2 cents in a minute.
That's fine. I don't know. I find I can't watch The Rock in anything because I find him annoying and I just don't like his movies.
It's
for
the
most part.
same. He's the same
It's
character
the
in every
same
movie.
thing. It's like
Yeah.
that stupid skyscraper movie, and then he did what Rampage, and then all these
Mhm.
dumb's the wrong word because the movies whatever. But I think
They're all like disaster cliche movies. where
yeah,
it's like,
and at
Right.
least with Batista, he's doing things that are different. He's doing things where he actually has to act. And I know Drax isn't the biggest stretch of that, but Blade Runner and even Glass Onion, he's acting, and The Rock is just playing. He's playing
stretching.
himself.
Yeah.
And The
I
Rock just
agree.
plays himself, and it's like Schwarzenegger. It's the same thing. They just play themselves, like when Schwarzenegger was in Predator. All the '80s great movies that he did that we all love.
Yeah.
But I don't think The Rock he's not. I don't know. He's sticking to his lane. I get it. I can respect him for that. But at some point, Seb's totally right. Is the people are going to say, "Enough, buddy. Like we don't care about your next fucking disaster movie." I'm sorry.
Well, the proof is in the ratings of his films. Like you go back to a lot of the Rock's films, and yes, he's a super bankable actor, and he sells tickets. The box office hits every time he does a movie. But when you actually look at the ratings of a lot of the movies, they're
Shit.
really not that good. The only caveat to that is the Jumanji series, which I think is amazing.
And was he in Journey to the Center of the Earth as well?
Yes. Yeah.
I enjoy Journey because it was just, but again, he's in an ensemble. He's not, oh my God, it's like me carrying the whole movie.
So it goes back to the Will Ferrell debate.
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
he's good in an ensemble, but when
Yeah.
he's the main guy all the time,
Yeah.
a little much.
Feel him.
Yeah.
Bring him back a little bit and not let him rockify everything.
Having
Yeah.
said that, though, Dave Bautista isn't a main guy yet. Like he
No,
doesn't have the chops yet to lead
no,
a
he
movie,
doesn't.
but he's yeah. So, what's your take, Matt? I know you've been silently
Okay, no,
humming and
I've been
hawing.
listening to it. No, it's I've been listening to it. So here's the thing: The Rock started out when he in the early 2000s began um, making his way into Hollywood. He was stretching a little bit. He was, the you look at the Mummy and the Scorpion King, not that much of a stretch. But then he comes out with
The Tooth Fairy. Now that was a
well,
stretch.
eh, hold on.
Sorry.
Before the Tooth Fairy, the sequel to Get Shorty.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember that. I'm blanking on the name. He was in the sequel to Get Shorty. Very, very different character.
Mhm.
Big afro, goatee, way deep into the rainbow flag, um, and
Okay.
that opened a lot of eyes in everybody as wrestling fans because we was like, what is this? Um, and then he did move into the Disney, the Tooth Fairies, stuff like that, where it was PG era
Mhm.
stuff. Um, and people are like, well, why are you doing this? You left to be Scorpion King, and actually, why are you doing this? Did a bunch of smaller movies after that, but the reason he went and did it is he was making movies for his kids.
Mhm.
He wanted
yeah,
his
Sure.
kids to see, and now the daughter he was making the movies for is actually on NXT and WWE as a wrestling career. He also has two smaller children these days with his second wife, so we'll see that come back around. You see him in Jumanji, where it is a stretch again every once in a while, um, but honestly, his biggest impact right now is his producing stuff. Um,
yeah,
he's making shows. He's a producing credit for a show called Tales from the Territories, which is talking about wrestling from the 70s and 80s, where it's a bunch of legendary guys that are now sort of in the twilight of their lives, on the back nine, as they say. Um, he produces a show called Young Rock. He did a movie on Paige's life called Fighting with My Family, which was really good.
yeah. I
Um,
heard that was good.
is his bigger impact is not going to be on the screen. Though I feel that at some point he's going to turn around and surprise us with something. Now,
I
as
think
far as that
his
goes, next on the list, John Cena and The Rock had a very public um, beef, I guess is the best way to say it, over, The Rock saying the wrestling fans are great and John going, you ain't fucking here. There was some legitimate bad blood for 3 years as they did a WrestleMania program, uh, 2 years in a row. And John has come out and said, I was a dick. Now that I'm in Hollywood, I
John
get it.
Cena.
John changed his tune. He's like, I get it. Um, John
Yeah,
just recently did his only match of 2022 last Friday. John is gone a different way. Yes, he's in some big movies, but he is being a goofier character. You see him in Suicide Squad or Peacemaker.
I hear
He's doing something
he's really
different.
good in Peacemaker.
He's like
Peacemaker is
the
amazing.
Yeah,
It's so
Peacemaker
good and
show.
it's
Go
so not
out of your
like,
way to watch it.
yeah,
yeah, you
Absolutely.
have to watch it. It's so good.
And John is doing what Dwayne did, where he's like, "Here's my TV character for Vince for this many years. I need to go and show them I can do other things," and it's working.
yeah,
But Dave did the same thing. He left, got into movies. He did um, a, a bunch of smaller movies, but I think there was one he did with Russell Crowe and RZA, where it was like a kung fu sort of movie where he was a villain. And then just they gave him Guardians and Drax. Or is it well, Drax isn't that deep of a character, no, but to play that straight of a guy that is just a straight up black and white, literal
Mhm.
everywhere like
but
that.
his
His
comedic
performance
timing with
is
that is amazing.
exactly
Oh, so good. But that's a
his
credit to the writing as well
performance
of James
Yeah,
Gunn.
is absolutely fantastic, and he has branched from there. I mean, he didn't do a whole lot as a Bond villain, but he was still a Bond villain,
Hmm.
right?
yeah,
And in Knives Out and a few of the other things he's done lately, you are really seeing Dave is throwing it in. He's putting in the work to become a better actor.
yeah,
So, long story short, Seb's right. Ryan Johnson's right.
yeah.
The Rock is
The Rock
more of a producer. He's more of an
yeah,
executive level
Yeah.
guy. He's doing all that, and please do because you have the money for it. You don't need to be on screen. You can be making
Yeah.
content from an executive level on down.
Just make good stuff.
I
Yeah,
want
and
more. I want more of The Rock from like Ballers.
yes,
Like that's
Mhm.
like that's his best acting he's done is from that
absolutely.
TV series because there's a sensitivity there. There's something that he's pained. Like he's it's real. Like it
Hmm.
feels real. He's not just playing the hero everything like
Yeah.
every movie. So
Yeah.
I mean, if we can see The Rock in like those breakthrough movies where they're like real movies, I think he can get there, right? But I think what Matt said is Batista is definitely trying to explore trying to broaden his acting range for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think like Dave may not have the business mind. I don't. That
Who
could
knows?
be it. The Rock
Yeah.
has always had a business mind
Yes.
for. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a famous story. He was dead solid broke before he actually made it to wrestling and made it huge. His famous father. If you watch the Young Rock show, I've know enough. I've read enough books. I've interviews and everything. It is very very close to his actual life with obviously some hyperbole in there, but he didn't grow up rich because his father is rich. His father was a bit of a carny ass dude, like just a bit of a shyster, not
Yeah.
necessarily the most reliable, which is why he never like here's it's Rocky Johnson's son, but Rocky Johnson had disappeared from the wrestling landscape more or less around WrestleMania 1, and you find out why if you watch the Young Rock, um, because he was basically unreliable. And Dwayne, they
Yeah.
they had nothing for a long time. So Dwayne
Yeah.
was living in Calgary on the Stampeders practice team with $7 to his name, and has built this character, built the money, built the business, and that's the level he's sitting at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. It's like George Lucas. George Lucas, um, his contribution is to his legacy is not going to be Star Wars. It's going to be everything he invented to make
Absolutely.
Star Wars.
To make Star Wars. Oh, for sure. 100%.
And that's
Yeah.
where The Rock his role is going to be. It's not going to be his acting or his wrestling. It's going to be what he was able to bankroll and greenlight as an executive.
Mhm.
And I think it's
Okay.
just a matter of time. Like Black Adam, he fought for years to get it done. Loved Black Adam. With whatever else is going on in the DC executives, we may not see another Black Adam.
I don't think you're
I
going to see
mean,
another one.
Yeah. There's a bunch of drama there.
there's a bunch of drama, but we don't know how it's going to turn out yet, right?
Yeah.
No.
Like somebody above James Gunn could go, no, you're out. Like what the hell? But we won't know how it's going to work. But there's nothing to say that he can't turn around and make another franchise work.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, he's got the star power for sure.
well, he
So
does. And Dave
yeah.
doesn't seem to have that mindset. He never seem to have that mindset in his wrestling career. He was always pay me, I'm going to go out and do the best damn job I can do. And that
Mhm.
seems to have what's translated into his acting. So I totally agree with this. John has taken it, his level uh, way up top, could be doing strictly movies, but when you see his movies, it's a very comedic role 9 times out of
Yes.
10.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's very slapstick, and he's still jacked to the gills,
Mhm.
but he has
He
no
also
problem
has great
being
comedic timing too, though,
oh,
John Cena. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I
He's a
mean,
funny dude.
he just made Peacemaker work out of
Yeah.
a half
And
hour
he's the only one that
conversation
could have
with
made
James Gunn.
Peacemaker work. No one else could have played
100%.
Peacemaker besides John
Yeah.
Cena because it just wouldn't work.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, plus, he's got to look good in the tighty whities.
All right.
Well-
So let me ask you this. Like we're moving on to it.
Mhm.
We're
Yeah,
still
let's
going
move
to stay in movies, but what is the best movie you've seen this year, and why is it Top Gun Maverick?
You know what? I was just going to say that. I watched it 2 weeks ago.
It's so good, isn't it?
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick, like that was just the perfect blend of
Is it not like a
nostalgia.
10 out of 10 movie?
It is.
Absolutely. It's the perfect blend of
Yeah.
nostalgia. They
Yeah.
got the cast right. Like Miles Teller is,
Yeah.
I believe he's Anthony Edwards and Meg Ryan's son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can see it. I mean, he's got that little mustache, and it's like, oh Jesus, it is Anthony Edwards with
Mhm.
a couple extra pounds. I mean, they did such a good job with it.
It's so
Even-
good. Yeah.
Even the plausibility of them finding the Tomcat, so that we could have that little bit of nostalgia. And
But it all
way
makes
that
sense in the
works out.
story. Like it all
Yes.
makes sense. Like
Absolutely.
there's a reason for everything that
Mhm.
happens in the story, which it makes logical sense. And like the way the story threads through, impacts the character choices and emotions. Like it's like it's an extremely well written story, like extremely well written.
And they don't harp on it. You have to pay very close attention to it. But if you go back to the original Top Gun when he's getting dressed down for the first flyby on the aircraft carrier, and he's the captain of the carrier is running down Maverick's list of stuff. One flyby on this tower, that tower, and an admiral's daughter. And Anthony Edwards looks over and goes, Penny Benjamin.
Yeah.
Penny Benjamin's the bar owner in this.
Yeah, they don't assume that you're they don't assume you're stupid and have to just explain everything for you. Like the Penny Benjamin reference is like the people that deep dive into Top Gun know who Penny Benjamin is, but the casual viewer is like, oh, it's just the love interest in the movie. But like it's something that like goes very respectful to the original. I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. Did you know that there was like virtually no CGI in the entire movie?
Yes.
And everything they filmed like in the air with the fighter pilots was for real.
Yep. And if they screwed up, because they were sent up with cameras and then they were just had to act it out. And if it wasn't good enough, they'd go back up and do it again.
It was like something like $15,000 per hour per plane. That was the rental fee for the U.S. Navy. Jeez. I think it was, But when you're going to do a movie right, you
Tom Cruise apparently got to launch off the carrier himself.
Oh, geez.
So I mean that's pretty cool. Now let me ask you guys this, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. There is a moment in the film that got all over me emotionally.
Which one was
Iceman?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was done so tastefully.
Yeah.
It really was.
They paid such a good tribute to Kilmer.
Yeah. I agreed.
I mean,
it was not a dry eye in the house, right? It's
we're sitting there again, and this is something that we've been doing. This core group has been sitting around the last month and a half watching Christmas movies and stuff. And we're watching that, and my buddy Greg is a paramedic and a firefighter and a big old softie, and he had to get up and leave the room at one point during a movie because there was something coming. We're all like, like he got up and left, and everybody's looking at each other. It's like, oh no, something's coming.
Yeah.
And then as I'm sitting there, and we're all just watching this Iceman thing, and I'm emotional, and Greg's emotional, and Sarah is still crying, as you can see here. But yeah, it was the perfect blend. Like
it had such a good mix of emotional, like there was a very emotional parts in it. It was fun, it was funny, it was action packed, it was intense, super intense in some parts where you're like your nails were digging into like the edge of your chair watching it. Visually it was stunning. It was, I think, some of the best acting Tom Cruise has done in recent memory. Like I thought he was amazing in it. Like every character was like spot on. So for me, it's a 10 out of 10 movie.
Did you guys experience it in the theater or watch it at home?
D-Box, baby.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I saw it in the theater twice, but I didn't D-Box it either time. But
I wanted to go see it in the theater. The Langley Colossus apparently has a 270-degree theater now, which means there's screens on 3 walls.
Jesus.
And that
was just there too.
This is what I've heard.
Wow.
I don't have the contacts I used to have, but I'm like, yep.
Wow.
And I could tell you, I'm just like, I know exactly what theater they would have put that in. But it was something I was thinking about going to see it in that format that I'm like, I feel like they need barf bags. I feel
especially in D-Box. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Were you in the movie The Chairs That Move too, or no?
Yeah, Matt or
no, I
was in the D-Box, but I don't blast it because there's like 4 levels of it, and then the 5th level, or maybe there's 3 levels.
That's puke level is the 5th level.
I can't I tried to watch Tenet in the D-Boxes, and I turned that off after like 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Because Tenet is a movie that requires absolute focus, right? I don't know if you've seen Tenet or not.
I haven't.
Yeah, I have.
But it is like you have to pay attention, which is a lot of Christopher Nolan movies. You have to pay attention.
Oh,
but like when you're trying to pay attention and you're doing shaking around,
it's
you're
one
like,
thing.
okay, this is got to go off. I can't concentrate. Yeah. So
Yeah, I took Junior to go see it, and he usually when we're in movies, he'll talk a lot, ask a lot of questions and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And he didn't say one word. His eyes never deviated from the screen.
it's
And when it was over, he's like, "That is the greatest movie I have ever seen."
yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, man, it was so cool." I'm getting all sort of like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about how good that movie is. And
I
just,
went
oh,
into that
God.
movie like with such high expectations,
Mhm.
which I hate doing because it's usually always a letdown.
You'll get burned if you do that.
Yeah,
usually.
but
Yeah.
it exceeded my expectations. Like it was way better than I thought it was going to be. Like way better. So
I went in with none, so that was it, and it delighted me even more. Like I was like, yeah, whatever, Top Gun, we're gonna go see a Tom Cruise. Yeah, he's so
and
handsome. Blah blah blah.
they
Right?
did all of the nostalgia in the right way in the movie.
Yes. Well, it was
Like,
tasteful. It was tasteful.
It's tasteful, but there was a reason
Yeah.
for it. Like they did the whole volleyball scene again, except they're
Oh, hell
playing
yeah.
football on the beach.
Yeah.
Spoilers, sorry. But like there's a reason why it's there, right?
Yeah,
Like they
they
explain
totally.
why they're doing it,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Which makes perfect sense when you're like, yeah, I
It's
get it. I get
it's
why
how
they're doing
Maverick
that.
knows how to build a team. It's the only
Yes,
way he
yeah.
knows how to build a team.
And
So-
you know what? I'm gonna Goldilocks this. Whereas Seb went in with high expectations and Mike was medium, I went with none. Like this has been talked about. The sequel to Top Gun. The first time I remember seeing it, I was reading a trade website, sitting in the IMAX. Went back when I was running the projection booth. So we're talking 2007, 2008.
It was finished 3 years ago, so it
And
was.
well, yeah, and they
Yeah.
did the right thing. They did the
They
absolute
held
right
it.
thing
They had
by
to have held
holding
it.
it.
Yeah.
They
for the
did
end of
not
COVID.
want to release it on video. They said
No.
this movie has to be released in theaters at its
Yeah.
full capacity, so we're
Yeah,
gonna
no, it
wait.
would have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still good, but they absolutely needed that big screen
Yeah.
push. I
Mhm.
went in. I have, years ago, I was watching trailers for a living because I had to monitor those things. So I saw a lot of trailers, and I was finding my enjoyment of the movies sucked, which is why it doesn't matter if it's a Star Wars or a Marvel movie. I'm going to avoid all the trailers. I
Mhm.
might watch one. But that's
Yeah.
it. I don't
Watch
need
the
to
initial
watch
teaser
all
and then you're
7
done.
that come out and the teasers, and I don't want to see the commercials, and I don't want to see the toys, because your expectation gets up here
Mhm.
and you cannot possibly fulfill it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I went in thinking, okay, Top Gun, this is a bad idea. I was bad IDing it right up until it made millions and millions of dollars about 3 weeks in still.
Mhm.
Like, movie comes out, lots of hype, boom, big opening weekend. Okay, cool. They that's why they put the marketing through it.
Yeah.
What's it going to do 3 weeks in a month? And it was still holding steady. So I'm like, okay, there's something to this.
Yeah,
And then
I
have
went
people
twice,
going, no,
2
it's so
months
good.
in. Yeah, the theater was packed. Like, it was in a small
Yeah.
little theater, but it was packed.
It was a-
And
It was Tom Cruise's highest grossing movie, I think.
Oh yeah.
and entirely. Well, and
Did you guys see his the teaser for his new stunt for Mission Impossible?
No.
Yes.
Where
Yes, I did.
he drives off of a ramp into a cliff and then like base
Oh,
jumps
yeah.
off of the motorcycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like a big featurette about it when I saw Avatar in IMAX. So they did like a big like 5-minute like sneak peek at the whole stunt and stuff.
Cool.
So, but man, that guy's crazy. Tom Cruise
Yeah.
just like how do you have to take like extra insurance out when he's in a movie? Because he likes to do everything
Yeah, I
himself.
would probably think
Mhm.
so. Absolutely.
But I mean, Tom gets to do what Tom wants to do since the 90s. And I think we've discussed
Well,
this before.
yeah,
He has had
Yeah.
a back end deal in Hollywood, and as
for good
rightly so
reason
should.
too, right?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
And so he is loaded, and he can just turn around and go, no, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think they were filming a Mission Impossible during COVID, and he had Tom's at it again, and he was caught recorded ripping into a crew member that didn't have a mask on. Just dressed this
Oh,
guy
jeez.
down
He
and
Christian
said,
Baled it.
I was just gonna say
he did.
Christian Bale.
Yeah,
Like, oh, good
it
for
was
you.
100% a Christian Bale style movie.
Nice.
But here's the thing: unlike Christian Bale, who was just being a dick,
Yeah.
Tom was like, "You fuck this up, and you're gonna fuck up the entire industry. We are making this
Yeah.
movie during
Yeah.
COVID. We have so much on the line, and if you fuck this up and give this production COVID, not only are we shut down, we're probably not going to be able to restart until after this." And Tom was 100% right. I
Totally.
don't care where you are in the mass debate. The bottom line is the only way they were able to film is because they had to follow protocol, and this guy
Mhm.
wouldn't put his mask on. So Tom went up one side of him and down the other, and I fucking loved it.
Well, yeah.
And
So, like, let's say the budget for Mission Impossible was $100 million, just to put it in a ballpark
Mhm.
figure. probably going to take about 100 days to film. So you're looking at about $1 million a day. So if you have to shut down one day, you're losing $1 million just to shut down for one
Yep.
day.
Yeah.
And if COVID situation happens and you have to shut down for more than one day, like that's a lot of
Well,
money.
yeah, and once it gets in there, I
Yeah.
mean, sure. Oh, it'll be a week. No, it's a week for this guy. But
Yeah.
this person caught it 2 days later, so she's down.
And
So
then
now
the
we're on 9 days,
trifecta, yeah.
and it's done. They just
Yeah.
shut it down. You never get it. And I have the Top Gun numbers in front of me right now. $170 million budget, made $126 million opening weekend.
So it almost covered their entire budget in like 4 days.
Worldwide gross,
It's over $1 billion, right?
It is over $1 billion.
Yeah.
almost. It is 1.488 billion.
Wow.
So $1.5 billion more or less, and it's still
Top Gun
making
3
money.
in 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'd go see it.
Do we need it though?
No,
Or is it
I
wrapped?
think it.
What-
I
Are they
think
making
this is a
another Top
nice
Gun?
bow.
There's rumors.
Yeah, I've heard
Well,
rumors
I mean,
they're making Top Gun
there's
3.
there's money in it, but
Why not?
I mean,
just
Miles
do it
Teller
right.
needs to have a son, right? So
Yeah. And Tom Cruise will be grandpa. He'll be the old guy at the bar by the time the third one comes out.
he'll be
Yeah,
the new Viper.
Yeah.
yeah, right. I mean, I think
It's an
as
old
far
school
as
Top Gun reference.
the as far as the whole the Miles Teller thing goes, one thing that did disappoint me about the movie is they didn't get Meg Ryan in there. I thought
Mhm.
there would have been. I mean, they gave an explanation. Yes, she had passed on,
Yeah.
and she didn't want him in the Air Force. But I thought there was an opportunity in there for a phone call, or
Oh, I
or
think
a
there's a
Zoom chat where-
bigger elephant in the room than Meg Ryan. I
Oh?
think the whole completely dismissing Kelly McGillis's
Yeah,
character whatsoever. There's
Yeah.
never even talked about, never even mentioned in the movie. And
Okay.
like Charlie was like a big part of Top Gun. So,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they just decided not to use her or if just, things have
Well,
progressed to the point where she's not in a state where she could be
Mhm.
used, which is likely the story. But like they didn't even mention that character, which was like,
well, I mean, Top Gun came out in 1986,
yes.
right? So now we're dealing with 2022. It's been on the shelf for 3 years, so
Yeah.
we're looking at 30 some odd years. Doing bad math.
33 years.
Yeah, 33 years. Let's go back to you had a romantic relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
Do we need to talk about it from a relationship from 30 years
yeah,
ago?
do you need to
If
talk
think of it
about
that way, then
now?
no, you
Both
don't.
of you, when we graduated, were dating somebody. We're still in contact. At
Yeah.
least I am
Mhm.
still in contact. Like, well, at least Facebook friends.
Yeah.
But do we discuss those relationships?
No.
Why Penny Benjamin came back in the movie.
Yeah, well, but that's
And she was
that's
just the
different. That's
Admiral's
not-
daughter.
That's yeah. I mean, that was
But it's Jennifer
that
Connelly,
was a little
so
different.
really,
That's
like,
yeah.
that's sort of a reconnection thing.
Also amazing
But
in the movie,
you
by the
don't
way.
Mhm.
necessarily talk about your
Yeah.
ex from 30 years ago or 20 years ago anymore.
I
Yeah,
didn't want to
cool.
say that, Sarah, but that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
To be-
yeah. So,
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to say that
And-
either because that's just.
but
offside.
I mean, and Kelly McGillis has been fairly open that she is what she believes.
Yeah.
And you know what? That sort of prompted a bunch of Carrie Fisher stuff that Fisher stuff that came up years ago filming Star Wars. It's like, well, did they have to ask you to do this to be in Star Wars? Like, you don't have to ask a lady in Hollywood of my age if they want to do something. We will work.
yeah, they'll do
Like,
it. Yeah.
This is what happens. I mean, guys get a pass.
Yes.
mean, we do.
it's
We
unfair.
get a pass in Hollywood. Now, sometimes, it's Tom Cruise who is almost ageless. I mean, he's not as youthful as he used to look, but I mean, for a guy that's pushing 60, he was able to do
Yeah.
a shirtless scene in
Mhm.
Top Gun. With it's unfair, but it is
He's
the
a
way it is.
cyborg. I don't think he's human anymore.
It's that Scientology.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
they brought him in from the cosmos, and then he's just going to live forever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're running long here, and I'm okay with this.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with this, but let's shelve the Top Gun stuff. What are you guys looking forward to for 2023 so far?
Before we get into that,
Okay.
because that's probably going to be a closer, right?
Sure.
Okay. there's one thing that we haven't talked about is music. So
Oh yes,
is
absolutely.
there any band or song or piece of music that you've come into contact with in the last year that has like opened your mind or like really um, been like, I'm right on board with this and I've never heard them before? I have one in particular, thanks to
All right.
Mike, but I'll get into that
Oh.
later. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't. Again, I've fallen off the whole music scene in the last few years. I mean,
Yeah.
I've just sort of got off the train. I like what I like.
hmm
There are a few new bands that I will follow.
Okay,
I'm
well,
open
let's
to
just
things.
not.
You
Yeah.
guys, when you guys bring through new music,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's usually when I discover it. Seb, you said through. I think that Nightwish was the band.
That was for years, a couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So that's still on my playlist. I do still follow Fozzy. I really enjoyed their new album, but I mean I've been following them for 20 years. Um, the new Iron Maiden I gave a whirl to. Obviously the new
Yeah.
Metallica. You guys are more connected to the new music, so I appreciate when you send it through because then I get to have a listen to it. But I'm not out there discovering as much. So
Yeah.
what have you guys been? What did you find
Okay.
out there this year?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So you sent me this Brothers of Metal thing.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have 2 albums out,
Yes.
but this one song in particular just hit a chord with me so huge that I was like, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, this is gonna live rent free in my head forever. And the song is called Yggdrasil
Mhm.
by Brothers of Metal, and it's
Yeah.
just epic and amazing. It's about Vikings. It's got a really attractive, phenomenal female lead singer,
Mhm.
and then another guy that sings with a growly voice. But like that song is so freaking good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could link it in chat, Matt.
There's got to be a YouTube clip
There's
of them.
tons of
Yeah.
reaction videos to it, and like that's the band Brothers of
Yeah,
Metal.
There's the
Yeah,
band. I mean,
and then
you say Viking. Yep.
yeah, and then if you
Yeah, they're
type
playing
in
right into it.
Yggdrasil, which is like YGD something.
Okay.
just go after Brothers of Metal.
Okay.
It should be there. It'll be there eventually. Yeah, right
give me a
there.
second here.
The third one down.
Yeah, the third one down.
Yeah.
As I'm pointing at the screen, is that one right there?
Yeah.
I mean, that's some pretty impressive visual stuff.
Oh, these guys are awesome.
For those of you listening, audio only, we're watching the YouTube Brothers of Metal, Yggdrasil.
Well, it's not actually
YGGDR,
on
yeah.
volume, by the way. So.
No, it's not. It's
Yeah.
not. The last time we did that, I had a lot of problems getting the podcast
Yeah.
out. So I'm just sort of checking this out visually.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give these guys a whirl.
This song is so good. It is.
And
so
aside
good.
from the aesthetic of what they look like, it screams like sort of cheese and like that these guys are gonna suck, but they don't. Like the musicianship is.
Yeah.
They're really good musicians. She can
definitely sing.
Her
she
voice
can
is amazing.
sing. Yeah.
And it's just a lot of, and they're a lot of fun, and it's just,
and
it's cool.
It's such a like what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my god, such a heartwarming story.
Mhm.
Endearing. It was
Yes.
when you watch their interview of how they got started, because they recorded their first album in 2018, I think.
Yes.
Maybe 2019. And there's like, we just started because we were just a bunch of group of friends that just like playing music together.
Yeah.
And then at some point we're like, hey, look, we have an album. And then we're like, let's, I guess, put it out. And then they were like, hey, people actually like this, and a lot of their songs are great, but the Yggdrasil is like their like song that everyone, that's like I think is the best song they've done.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it's a banger. It is so good. Watch some of the reaction videos for it, because there's one guy who's like a Swedish teacher that watches it, and his reaction is so like pure to it. Like he's just like, this is so good. Oh my God. Like, because I've never heard of it, and I'm from Sweden, because they're a Swedish band, right? So, but yeah, that song came to me like, I guess a couple months ago maybe, and I love it. I love that song so much. So yeah, that for me was like the biggest song that I came across in the last year in 2022. So yeah, it's so good. I know. Sorry.
There's another band.
So good.
There's another band that I don't know if Seb, you led me to these guys or not. They're from France, and they've been around for quite a long time, and it's sort of right in the style of music I'm really liking right now. It's kind of like I sort of call it like atmospheric metal.
Okay.
And well, Matt's leaving now.
Matt's
but that's
going
okay.
AFK for a minute.
Oh, turn the light on.
Okay.
But they're called Hangman's Chair.
Yes. Yeah.
I think you pointed them out to me. This is like going back 6-7 months ago, and their new album is called A Loner, and I listen to it all the time.
Yeah, I've heard of Hangman's Chair. Yeah,
and it's like this. The album is like one long. It's like a 45-minute journey of. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Like all the instruments are soaked in reverb. There's tons of echo, and it's just like it just takes you to a different place. It reminds me of Pink Floyd, but just like the metal version of Pink Floyd.
Really?
And yeah, and the singer he's a good singer. He doesn't growl. There's actual vocals. They're turned down in the mix, but they played Hellfest in France this summer, and their whole concert. It's on YouTube, and it's really good. And they played this cool looking like hangar, just the atmosphere. They had all the dry ice and all the mumbo jumbo to make it this. And Hangman's Chair is really, really cool. And then I found, because I go on deep dives with music, like if I'm on Apple,
and then you're like going into like what's related, and then
yes, and I go you go down the rabbit hole. It's related. Same with like the Brothers of Metal. I found another band called what are they called? Sorcerer, and same kind of deal, same kind of vibe, Viking metal. The dude sings, and they're a lot of fun. I've only listened. They have a 4-song EP out. I don't know if they have any other music out, but I find myself. I turn it on, and it's just the galloping drums, and it's very Iron Maiden-esque. All this stuff
is such an Iron Maiden
thing. It's fantasy metal. It's Euro fantasy Viking metal, and it's right up my alley right now. But of course, there's always the stuff that we like, right? We like what we like. We listen to what we listen to. And
there's another band which is completely, because I know you're going to go on the metal thing, but it's completely not metal, and it's something that's like way out. It's not. I think I know where you're going. No, you don't. I don't think I've ever mentioned them. There's a band called Bob Moses.
No.
Yeah, there's a song. It's called "Tearing Me Up." It's like their Grammy-nominated hit, but they're like a Canadian electric duo. They're from Vancouver, and it's really. It's super like chill vibes. It's like what you would drink if you're in a lounge bar on a Friday night at like 6 o'clock. But they're really good. Like they have a ton of like really cool songs. So if that's something that you're into or like want something a little more not metal, I highly recommend Bob Moses, and they're Vancouver boys too. So
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're electric, but they're also like very progressive and vibey. So yeah. The song's called "Tearing Me Up" is like their hit. That's kind of like what they're known for. And then there's a whole bunch of other songs that they play, which are really, really good. So, yeah.
Matt, I'm just gonna send you a little message here. Another band that I found. I don't know. Again, I think it might have been a Seb thing. They're called Wardruna.
No, you sent that to me.
Did I send that to you?
You sent that to our group chat, and I watched the entire hour-long.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
And
yeah.
Very cool. Like atmospheric. There's no like guitars and stuff. It's all like old school, like early,
Wardruna. Yeah.
Not early time, like medieval instruments, really, and they rely on vocals. And again, they played Hellfest, and they're so not a metal band, but. Oh my God.
Have you heard of a band? I'm just gonna pronounce it. Young.
No.
Young. I think you'd really like them. They're kind of in the same vein.
Yeah, these guys Wardruna, they're pretty cool. Like they talk about sticking to the script is the wrong word, but keeping it real, and it's. I almost thought I'd get bored after 5 minutes, but then you find yourself, you watch a whole hour and 15-minute concert, you're like, holy shit. Like that was fucking cool.
I'll read you the Wikipedia for Young, and it'll tell me if it's something that you might be interested in. Young is an experimental folk music band made up of members from Denmark, Norway, and Germany. Their music is based on text and runic inscriptions from Germanic peoples of the Iron Age and Viking Age. Young described their music as amplified history from early medieval Northern Europe. Their music is usually about Germanic deities, the Jotnar and Valkyries. Young is a German noun meaning healing in English. They're very like tribal. Like think of Viking tribal music, and that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So some of it's pretty out there, but it's some of their songs are like freaking really cool.
I've got it right here on the.
Yeah.
And then again, if you go into the similar artist, Wardruna is right there with
It's, there you go.
So,
So check them out. They only have like
okay.
4 or 5 albums out.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
gone through like the first 3 albums. There's one of them is a live album, which is actually
Okay.
really good because these are bands that you kind of have to experience live because
Yes.
it's just a different level when you listen
Yeah.
to their live
And
performances.
that's why I think you guys that concert at Wardruna, I think it was from Hellfest.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a totally different vibe.
Yeah. So
I mean, this sounds like these last bands. It sounds like this Viking culture, which is something we're probably going to have to get into down the road this year.
I think
It's
Mike and I
really
are embracing
taken
Vikings
root.
recently.
Well,
Absolutely.
it's not just you. Now I don't know if
Yeah.
it was the TV show that sparked it or what, but the Viking culture has become huge.
Yeah.
Period. You see people are living the lifestyle of it. The bands are, are taking elements of that culture with them, or just being in that lifestyle. And they're even wrestling. There's a tag team called now. They started out being called War Machine on the Indies, but Vince McMahon got a hold of them, and they're called the Viking Raiders, which is possibly the stupidest name ever. But they are deep
awful.
into the Viking culture,
Yeah, I'm aware of
inside
them.
and outside of the ring, to the point where they've even one of their wives is a wrestler, left for a little while to be pregnant, and came back, and she has come back as just an absolutely
Is
full
it
on, almost a
let
deity.
me is it Sarah Logan?
Yes,
I got it
is.
right.
It
Got
is
it
Sarah
right.
Logan.
Good job.
Yeah, and her original gimmick was much like that, but on uh, a lesser sort of, a more of an eye candy type
Yeah.
deal. But since returning, she has gone a little bit different. For those of you watching, that is definitely not what I wanted. So, yeah, and the Viking culture in and of itself has just become a very mainstream deal. Like it is absolutely everywhere, and I'm here for it. Like, we are so used to seeing, European medieval stuff and ancient Rome, ancient cultures out of the Orient, and the Vikings have sort of not been a mainstream thing, and they're getting their shot, and it is absolutely fantastic. Um, Absolutely here for it.
Yeah.
Just trying to find a decent image of this whole thing Sarah's got going. Yeah, there it is. And so she is not coming out as the Vince McMahon eye candy type of
She looks like
female
she could be a
performer.
member of Brothers of Metal.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely do.
Absolutely.
It's all a similar look with the Vikings. It's like the darkened eyes usually with like some sort of like black things coming. Like it's all about the eyes. Like they're like giga. What's it called? Giga smoky eyes.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch The Last Kingdom?
No.
Yeah, I've watched
That's
a
on my
season of
list
it
actually.
or two.
Put it high on the list. It's really good. Again, it's English versus the Danes, so it's a lot of Viking stuff. A lot of like Norseman history. It's based on a book series, but it's on Netflix. I think there's 6 seasons, whatever. The show, it just ended this year, the final season, and we watched it faithfully. It's kind of, I want to say Game of Thrones light, but it's a little more. It's not quite as like Cloak and Dagger and all the Game of Thronesy stuff, and there's no dragons, so it's not that. But
I'm not interested.
He's out. But it follows Uhtred, main guy. He's got his group of cronies, and just a whole bunch of crap just happens all the time. It's so good. And it sort of started out like on English TV, and then it got canceled, and Netflix picked it up and started remaking it again. You can totally see the difference of when it went from TV to Netflix, because there was obviously more violence. There's a little bit of nudity and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really good. It's not as, I don't think it's as good. The final couple of seasons weren't, in my mind, as good as like I think it's like 3, 4, maybe up seasons 3 and 4. We're just like, holy shit, the show is amazing.
Banger shows, yeah.
Yeah, they're bangers. And yeah.
Well, I mean, I just wrapped up The Expanse, 6 seasons of that on your recommendation, so I enjoyed that. So I'm just gonna maybe get back into.
And I have one more you guys need to put at the top of your list. I'm not done season 2 yet.
Oh boy.
But I'm watching Alice in Borderland, which
I looked at that the other day.
Oh my god, I looked at it kind of going, okay, whatever. Maybe it'll be Squid Game sort of, again, Squid Game light, if you want to use that term again.
What is it, Alice
in Borderland? It's a Japanese TV show. It's on Netflix. There's 2 seasons. I think there's 2 seasons. I'm not even looking ahead. I don't even want to know nothing. I'm watching it, and when it's done, it's done. I'm so emotionally invested in this show.
Okay. Is it in subtitles or is it?
Yes. Well, you can watch it dubbed if you like, but I prefer subtitles because you get more of what they're saying as opposed to some other guy or lady.
Yeah,
talking.
you kind of miss the emotion of the voice, right?
Something's lost in translation. But the premise is kind of the same. It's the Squid Game. Like, these people are forced to play these sort of life or death games, but where it differs from Squid Game is the characters are built with a really good backstory, and they sort of sprinkle that in every episode. A certain character, you'll get to dig into their past, and because they're transported to this other, I think, dimension. I don't even know, because they still haven't explained what the hell's. I'm in season 2. They're what the hell's really going on, in terms of how they got there and if they can get home or not. But they're in Tokyo, but everybody's gone, and there's just pockets of people left, and then they're led like sheep into these games. And it's life or death. And this season 2 is really ratcheted up the sort of all the storytelling and the games.
I will check. I'll have to check.
It's so good.
I will add that to the list. I've been.
It's the best show. It's my favorite show of 22. Even though we had Mandalorian, we had Andor, we had all the Star Wars stuff that I love, this show takes the cake for me. It's so good. I almost when some guy died the other night, and I'm just I almost was getting choked up, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so into it. And I don't.
Okay, I will check that out.
TV shows, but
I'm not going to say that I'm going to check it out immediately because there's a bunch.
I know you won't. Okay, yeah.
But it's on. I put it on the list.
Yeah,
so
put it on the list. It's worth the watch, and it's really, really good.
All right, Matt. Did you want to
do a couple of shorter things? Myself, we're working on SAS Rogue Heroes. It's short, but also pretty good. But yeah, get to the Alice in Borderlands, because that did look intriguing. What were you saying there, Seb?
No, I was just going to say, you wanted to close off at some point here? Or?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're running to about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm headed into a hell of a run for the next month myself. I'm starting off 2023 with my absolute favorite shit in the world, wrestling. Going down to Seattle. Going to see my second live AEW Dynamite. We're heading down there Tuesday night. We'll be back Thursday. Really looking forward to this full taping. It's my first time in an arena for Dynamite. The first time I saw it, they did it on the cruise. And then we are headed down to Miami again. I am taking most of the family, me, my wife, and our 3 girls, and substituting for our son who doesn't want to go will be Sarah here. And we're going to hit Jericho Cruise 4. And just because I'm excited, I am going to screen share that. There's the man himself. He wrestles 1 match a year, does a bunch of podcasts. He has 2 bands coming. We're going to have some Fozzy and Quarantine, his Kiss cover band. But the talent they're sending here is phenomenal. Jake Hager, very nice dude, absolute giant, just I mind blowing. I mean, on the cruise, you meet some of these guys and you end up looking down. I don't consider myself a very big dude, but the size you see on TV, the Acclaimed here, really looking forward to them. The late Eddie Guerrero's wife, Vicky Guerrero, will be with us. Lots of top tag teams, but lots of wrestling action. We got some classics. The World's Strongest Man, Mark Henry's coming with us this time. And Mickey James, who is my all-time favorite diva. Super excited. Brad Williams, look him up. Check out his comedy. Hysterical. Huge wrestling fan. So friendly.
That's not Hornswoggle, is it?
No,
No.
no, it's not.
Okay.
But
Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle is
Ah,
coming,
There he
right. There
is.
you go.
as
He's a
well as,
swallow
and
one.
we got some
Oh,
classics here as
beefcake.
well. Hacksaw's coming, Brutus Beefcake, Mike Rotunda, who the
He looks
father
like
of
Ash from
current
Evil Dead.
superstar Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
There is this guy
Cheeseburger.
right here, Cheeseburger,
Oh
really
my
good
god.
dude. He is one of the guys I've gotten to know through the cruise. He was one of the people that last March, when we couldn't go on this cruise because it was postponed last December
Yeah.
because they were trying to do it like a 4-month turnaround and it just didn't work. He was one of the people that we went and we were visiting with in New Jersey for a week. He is an absolutely great dude. I know
Dude,
he
that
gets,
literally looks like Bro Jake.
yes,
Oh,
For
yeah.
the Bro
no,
Jake
the
show.
way
That's hilarious.
yeah, he does,
Wow.
and he's a comedy wrestler. I've never actually seen his matches, but if you look him up on TikTok or YouTube,
Oh, is he the
you'll
guy
see
that throws the pizzas around?
yes, he's
Oh
throwing.
yeah.
He tosses the dough. But we got bands as well. I mean, we got Fozzy coming with us. We got Quiet Riot coming with us.
Jeez.
Royal
David.
Base. You have
Jeez.
Quarantine. I've gotten to know briefly one of the members of Quarantine as well, the guitar player. He's a really good dude out of Peru that is friends with friends, and we do
Nice.
these. We've been doing these Zoom calls for a couple of years, where it's just a bunch of us from the boat. Guardians of the Jukebox. Yeah, like I'm really. I get so excited about this, and initially it was the wrestling, it as a cool experience. But what we've discovered is we have made friends. It is more going back to see friends now at this
That's what it's
point.
all about,
Yeah.
right?
I don't, I'm not, it's hard enough to get to Kamloops to see Mike. I
Yep.
can't get to Oklahoma to see,
Yeah.
our friends down in Oklahoma. I'm not seeing our friends in LA or, DC, Philly, New Jersey, let alone Inuvik. Or Grand Prairie or Ontario, and it's just an absolute blast. And the talent, for the most part, there have been a few exceptions that are harder to track down. They just walk around the boat. The day one is a photo fest and a big, oh my god, this is so and so, and I did it first time on the boat. I didn't expect that, and
Yeah.
John Morrison walked by us like 20 minutes into the entire thing, and was still on Survivor at the time. And I talked to him, got a photo, and some guy came down the stairs and go, John, did you win Survivor? And I just turned around and I went, dude, he can't fucking tell you that. John goes, thanks, and walks off. And if
Was
you
that
have
like a
good
celebrity Survivor?
no, I don't think so.
He was just
He was
like
just
randomly
on there?
Yeah,
Really?
he just got
Huh.
on there.
Wow.
But some of them are super, super friendly. You guys might remember Victoria from the WWE in the early 2000s and late
Yes.
90s. On the second cruise, when we had all the kids with us, we ran into her again really quick. We hadn't even left port yet. I was just walking around the boat with the kids, showing them the different venues and whatnot. Victoria came in, really liked my oldest daughter's eyebrows that she had done. She said, "Oh my God, did you have those done for the cruise?" She's like, "No, I did them myself in the hotel this morning." So for 4 days, as we're walking around the boat, my daughter's looking for Gabriel Iglesias, who had come with us on the boat as well. But every time
Funny
she ran
dude.
into Victoria, I'd be like, "Oh, hi, eyebrows." I got her a cameo for her grad from Victoria, and she's like, and the whole thing, I'm like, "You might remember." She said, "Oh my God, I totally remember her from the boat."
That's awesome.
So, I mean, you get to see the human side of these people.
Yeah, that's
It
great.
is, and wrestling, rock and roll comedy may not be up your alley. Most of that is not up Sarah's alley, who's coming with us.
Oh, she'll have a good time.
She is going to have a good time. I've been playing her some Guardians of the Jukebox. Actually, you guys could check this out.
Guardians.
It's 80s covers. Find them on Spotify.
Okay.
Guardians of the Jukebox. It's Rich Ward. He is co-founder of Fozzy with Chris, also of Stuck Mojo from back in the late 90s. And it's 80s covers.
Love it.
Really good versions of My Prerogative and All Night Long, and just absolutely fantastic stuff. She's going to have a good time
Oh,
She
there's no
will.
doubt.
because it's going to be the people. And I'm finally going to be like, she's taken me to a couple of concerts that I wasn't super into. I'm finally going to get her in front of a wrestling ring, and she knows that at some point I'm dragging her ass down to ringside.
It
And
doesn't matter which.
That's I mean, on the second cruise, my two oldest daughters had gone down to the stage area, and we're just having an absolute blast in the mosh pit. jumping and dancing to Fozzy, and I had turned to my right. Yes, I'd had a few cocktails, and we're maybe 5 minutes out of port, and I thought I was talking to my friend AJ, and I says, "One day, man, I hope you see your kids this happy." It was Hunter's first concert. It was Kayla's first rock
Awesome.
concert, and they're in there like I used to be, just jumping and dancing and partying. And I'm talking to this guy, and he goes, "Oh yeah, mine's only 8." I turn around, it's Frankie Kazarian, who is a really good wrestler that I'm a very
Cool.
big fan of.
Cool.
So I'm talking to Kaz, and we're just having a dad talk.
Wait, is
Watching.
Kaz Big Kaz?
No, not Big Cass.
Oh, okay.
Frankie Kazarian, and he's bringing his band, and it just standing there
Nice.
having a dad talk with a guy that I've been watching on TV for 15 years.
That's cool.
Right? It's if there is a something you enjoy, whether it's Walking Dead, I know
I
there's
used
a
to enjoy
Shiprock
that.
cruise. If you find out something you're a fan of has a theme cruise, fucking go.
Oh, okay. Hell yeah.
Absolutely,
Okay.
fucking go. There's for those of you watching, I've just pulled up a picture of Frankie Kazarian here, and he's
Cool.
bringing his band with him this time too. And they do a really good cover of In Excess in there. I can't remember the name of the song off the top of my head, but I'm really, really excited to kick this year off like this.
We're
My kids are
excited for
getting
you.
older. Yeah, I mean, and this is, I'm really, as much as I am excited that Sarah's coming with us, which I really am, because she's had a rough year as well, rough couple of years, and never really gets these vacation type things. Yes, and there she's, whether she likes it or not, she's going ringside. It is kind of a bummer that Jordan doesn't want to come, because I mean, they're older. I got one graduated. I got one graduating this year. Jordan graduates next year. So these family vacations are, few and far between. Much like
Teenagers, though.
this,
What can you do?
yeah, much like this Christmas. Every Christmas we get with all of them in the house, is a bonus at this point.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's where my year's starting off, and whatever else comes, really what I want to do is make sure we keep doing this, because
Yes.
well, we have kept in touch over the years and have been able
Yeah.
to meet up for coffee when Mike is down. I haven't been to the concerts with you guys as much, but I mean, this has really been a great bonding experience. I'm not to get too mushy on this, boys, but thanks for this idea. Thanks for participating, Seb.
Of course. Yeah. No
Yeah.
worries.
Let's keep building on this. It's been fantastic. What about you guys? 2023. What do you got coming up? Anything?
Nothing.
Any thoughts? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Seb's going to work to watch the fights, and I don't mean UFC.
Yeah. He doesn't need the UFC to go watch some fights. It is work.
Yeah.
I have aggressively started planning to actually finish a novel this year. So
Good.
that's kind of
Good.
like a lot of my focus is going to go into is to finish a novel and see where it goes, because I've been told by various people that I'm actually a pretty good writer. So just going to go realize that dream and just hammer away at it. And I've taken a couple master classes, and so I feel like I'm actually ready to tackle this huge endeavor. And at the end of the day, I just want to share things that I get excited about. So
and you know what, we're here for it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Can't tell you what it's about.
No, don't tell us what it's about here. You keep that to yourself, because there are people out there. But yeah, I'm excited to hear more about it through our conversations off air, and I'm excited to do a podcast eventually announcing that you are a published writer.
That will be hopefully by the end of this year is the goal. So
good.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
We don't need to talk further about it, because the more I talk about it, the less likely I'm going to do it. So now I'm committed, because the podcast world knows and they're expecting. Right. So let's move forward.
Yeah, at the very least, Sarah now knows, and let me tell you, if she decides that you're doing it, she's going to make sure you do it.
Yeah. Well, both of us will make sure you do it too. We'll keep you on.
Messages from Sarah on a daily basis. Have you written anything yet?
I can make that happen.
Yeah. Okay.
That's she's very into motivating her friends and
I expect pages and fantastic.
There you go. See, now
no pressure.
No pressure whatsoever.
Before I start actually working on it, I have to finish Neil Gaiman's masterclass, because I have a masterclass description. Do you guys know what masterclass is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, masterclass is an online platform where you can tap into real celebrities in their fields talking about their selected fields. So Neil Gaiman, which wrote American
cool.
Gods and the
Sandman.
the
He's
Sandman,
an awesome writer.
and Coraline. Yeah, so he does a masterclass on the art of storytelling. So it's not specifically on writing books; it's about how to tell an intriguing story, which is different. Because I took the James Patterson masterclass earlier, like a couple years ago, where that was all about how to write a story. And the main takeaway, and this works for any major project that anyone has. I mean, obviously, it's I should say creative project, because you can't just like. She is aggressively supporting. Okay, great. James Patterson's biggest takeaway from his class that I got is like, if you're writing a novel, you just freight train your way to the end. Just bulldoze your way to the end. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're going to rewrite it anyways. You're going to rewrite the chapters. You're going to scrap chapters. There's no sense in getting stuck on a chapter and not being able to figure out how to move forward, because it's going to just slow you right the F down.
Yeah.
So if you get stuck, write a big question mark on the page, or just say to be determined, or just skip ahead and just keep going. Just keep going. Get to the end. The only purpose of your first draft is to get to the end of the story. Then you go back and look at it all and reread it and go, okay, I got to change all this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. It may not be the most efficient way of doing it, but it's a lot more efficient doing it this way than stopping and having to make everything perfect before you move forward. Because then you can be stuck in that loop of trying to make it right before you move forward.
If you get blocked on chapter 3,
then
you
feel like you can't.
agree.
Yeah. So he says, don't even worry about it. Just go to chapter 4. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so at some point in this big hole, this person and this character and this plot device need to get over here, but I'll figure out how we do that later. We'll quantum theory this. I'll come up with some BS science fiction thing or some way to do it later on. And you know what, if it doesn't quite work, then you just rewrite a little of the next chapter. I agree. I'm looking forward to your results.
So am I. Mike, what about you? What's the year looking like for you?
Well, there's, obviously Metallica is a big part of my life. April 14th is a big day. Might be, who knows, the last record. I'm struggling.
Very good point that it may actually be their last record.
I don't think it's going to be short of someone dying, but I don't think it's going to be.
But there's the potential for it.
Well, sure. And like Hardwired was good. Not my favorite album, but it was good. But again, that was 7 years ago.
Let me ask you this random question. If it wasn't a double album and they cut out a few songs, would it be one of your favorite Metallica albums?
I don't even think it's a double album now. It was 80 minutes, so it was a double album by like 10 seconds. Like, it's bullshit.
But they released it as a double album.
Yeah, because the CD only holds 79 minutes.
I actually believe that if they cut out like 4 or 5 songs, that it could be in a top 5 album of all time for Metallica.
Ooh.
No.
Atlas Rise.
Atlas
Rise. Moth. Halo on Fire. Spit Out the Bone. Those 4 songs are fucking bangers, man.
Okay.
They're bangers.
So
they're so good.
Are we doing this now?
No, this is an entirely different
episode. We're running at an hour and 3/4.
Who cares? Let's just keep going.
This is another episode. Speaking of, this will go on for an hour.
This is our double album today.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for hanging out with us. For that, but Mike, finish up your thoughts there on Metallica.
Seb, I've been playing music half-heartedly for my whole life, and a few weeks ago, I had a little collection of guitars, and I went into the store. Wait till I start talking about Metallica. I go on the full Metallica talk.
It only took 9 episodes to get Mike heated. I know. But now he's running hot, baby.
Now I'm running hot. But I've always had a fascination with drums. Fascination with drums.
Tell me you're buying a drum set.
I didn't just buy. I bought an electric drum set before Christmas.
Yeah, and, you did.
Like I've always been able to somewhat play, but now I'm playing for like a couple hours every day, and I don't want to move my camera because I'll screw everything up. But yeah, I traded in 2 guitars straight up for an electric drum set.
And are you like Bill Burring it in like your right foot? Like, because that's what you do in your 40s. You decide that you want to make your like right foot drumming foot. Have you seen that Bill Burr bit with the dog? Can you just do me this one solid? Can you just take the shift and I'll get the afternoon shift? Why do you got to waterboat me for 15 minutes when the answer is going to be no? Just say no.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So
sorry.
so I got these drums, and I can sit on these things for hours and just play, and I just put on anything, and I can play. I'm not good. Like, don't get me wrong, I am not good.
You're probably infinitely better than the average person
I
on the
can,
drums.
if I put on like a regular rock playlist of whatever generic songs, I can play. Aside from being like double kick, crazy thrash metal, if it's a reasonable BPM, I can play it.
I guarantee you'll be able to play every AC/DC song ever.
That was the first thing I did. I put on Power Rate, and I fucking went for it. And I got all the way to Back in Black. I'm like, this is awesome.
I am a drummer.
All right. But no, it's like I've always wanted, like I love playing guitar,
so
but
cool.
I've never been very good at it because I'm limited. Like my hands aren't exactly, I don't know, the most dexterous, I guess, would be probably the term.
You're not given the gift of Buckethead's long fingers.
No, and I'm not Steve Vai or Satriani.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't have the patience for the theory because I honestly couldn't give a shit. I just like to play. But with the drums, like I want to have it all set up right and do it right, and I want to become a real drummer because I'm at this point I'll be playing with headphones on for the rest of my life, and that's as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah.
But man, is it fun!
It's
I just come down, I put my AirPods in, put headphones over top. That's the drum headphones, and I just put on whatever and play. And I've got a whole new appreciation for guys like Phil Rudd, Lars Ulrich. I can't play a lot of Metallica. I can play some the simple stuff I can play, but again, there's a lot.
It's snare heavy. Just go heavy on the snare. You got Metallica.
You can keep the beat. You can make it sound reasonable, right? And
well,
I bet
you
would
say try Def Leppard.
Try Def Leppard. You've got an extra appendage.
I don't think I could play as good as Rick Allen. But
with two hands, he can play better than with one hand than he can play with two. Yeah.
Hats off. A guy gets a car accident, loses his arm, and still plays.
Keeps going.
He still keeps it out and keeps going. Talk about survivor story. That's amazing. Anyways,
literally better than you with one hand. Well, not quite tied behind his back, but you know where I'm going.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so much fun. And even Jolene comes downstairs, she'll hammer away, put the headphones on, and just do her deal in her own special way.
Well, it is literally like the most prehistoric instrument. Like it's the instrument that goes back to the beginning of humankind. Right?
Bang on stuff, right? And you got drums, and so that's gonna be. And obviously with me, I'm trying to get back into running. I'm finally mostly pain free from all my bullshit that has gone on the last couple of years. So started out the year right, went out for a run, didn't do too much, didn't go too hard, just did it. And that's going to be and if I can stay healthy, I say this every January 1st, if I can stay healthy, great things are going to happen. But I'm doing things so different now.
Nice.
Working out at my own kind of realizing that I'm not 30 anymore and my body isn't designed to be Mr. Crazy, Tony Horton kind of CrossFit man. It's just I'm not built that way, and it's taken me a long time to realize I am not built that way. So
that's the P90X guy, right?
That's the P90X guy.
Yeah.
And I've done though. I have the videos, and man, I fuck myself up every time I get to like week 2. I'm dead. So things are different now. But I want to have a good go at the running this year, and maybe if I stay healthy. That's
a big passion in your life. For anyone that doesn't know, Mike is a really passionate runner.
I love to run, and I always hurt myself, and it just sort of.
Hey, you can't take the sport out of the guy, man, or the girl for that matter. Yeah.
Right, and so I've got all these things like my half marathon streak every year is still alive, but I want to stay healthy enough to ratchet it up to the next level.
Yeah.
And I think I can do it, and I think drumming is going to help because drumming is keeping everything moving.
Cardio.
Right? I wouldn't go that far, but it's
no, it really is. I mean, it's a lot of little movements.
Yeah.
Right? Like drumming is absolute cardio. You don't often see an out of shape drummer. Vinnie Paul is the exception that proves the rule.
He's still in shape though. He's just a large guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, he was in shape. He's no longer with us, but yeah, but whatever. What do you think of the Pantera reunion cover band?
I haven't seen anything of it. I'm
It's not.
still
It's
of.
not
I believe
terrible.
It's
we've
not
sort
terrible.
of
It's not
discussed this.
terrible.
It's
It's Zach
not
Wild
terrible.
wanking on his guitar like he does, but he's
Yeah, I mean,
playing the
when it
he's
comes
playing the
down
riffs
to
right.
it, when it comes down
He's
to it,
playing
it's
the
Charlie
riffs right.
Benetti and Zach Wild filling in. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't
it's
get
not
any
like they
better.
grabbed two guys off a Sunset Strip and
No,
said, "Yeah, you just hang out with Rex and
they
Phil
got
for a while." They got
yeah.
top-notch talent in there.
It's fine. It's
It's
fine.
tuned too low for me now because they had to
Yeah.
drop it even lower to make so Phil can sound respectable.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's not terrible. Like I enjoy
if they
it.
came, I'd go. If they came to Vancouver, I would go.
Yeah.
All right.
And as long as they don't charge Metallica prices, I'm in.
Well, that's because it's a 2-day ticket, isn't it? The Metallica prices.
Yeah, but it's still $400 a show.
So it's $800.
Yeah.
And you have to commit to the 2 shows.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I'm
You know what?
sorry.
We have a friend that did commit to this to go to Edmonton. So let's put a fork in that one in the Metallica ticket thing for a little while, and we will have a guest on to discuss exactly how that all
There you go.
works.
Uh-huh.
Well, you heard it
You know
here
what? Maybe
first.
before the show, maybe after the
Yeah.
show, and he can give us a review. Let us know if the
Well,
boys
that's not
still
till
have
the
it.
summer of 2024. So hopefully we're still doing.
Yeah.
this
Okay.
in
So
2 years.
we'll do a Metallica show because clearly Mike has an opinion or two.
Well, I want to. It's the argument me and Seb are going to get to, and Matt's just going to be pulling the strings behind us, making us both
Be
mad.
like dance,
Yeah,
puppets.
Basically, dance bitches. And
I'm just going to be.
We'll be
poking the
standing
bear.
out of our chairs like, no.
Because you know what, it is so easy for me to get you guys wound up. I just have to say one thing:
Do you ever
Well, like
notice
what-
how I like?
justice needs to disappear.
Do you ever notice how I like strategically?
I could hear Mike's eye roll on that one.
Do you ever notice how like sometimes strategically like put things in chat to get Matt going about wrestling?
yeah,
And that's fine. I mean, I'm all for it. You guys can get me wound up. I can get you guys wound up.
Yeah.
That's where we're at, and it's all in good fun. Because if I want to get Seb wound up, all I have to do is talk shit about Lord of the Rings,
You son of a bitch.
which is it's a 19-hour
Shut your mouth
movie
right now.
epic, and 18 and a half hours is a bunch of dudes walking.
your Lord of the Rings passion doesn't follow the Hobbit movies, does it? Because those are horrible.
It's not supposed to.
No.
It's Lord of the Rings and then the Hobbit.
Well, no, I'm saying like your passion with Lord of the Rings. Does
My
it follow? Yeah, does it follow?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings, it's a standalone thing.
Yeah, okay, good.
The Hobbit is
The Hobbit is
The
dog shit.
Hobbit, which
It's
could have been
shit.
done in 1.5 movies.
1.5.
Should
But
have been
anyways,
1.5.
So
Yeah.
you guys have
Yeah.
heard it here first. All 3 of us are changing our walks of life. Mike is
Mhm.
going to be a drummer by the end of the year. I will be a writer, and Matt will be a wrestler.
Whoa, no, I won't lie to you.
He could be
back
the
in
comedian guy flipping the pizzas to everybody.
Back
You can do that.
back in the turn of the century, I did actually take a really good run at being on Tough Enough.
Nice.
I did. I actually did. Especially I got laid off from a job I was doing. I had a lot of EI. I did a lot of training, and it just came down to the fact that I don't want to do the travel. And I would have preferred to.
You can't with the family.
Be home. Well, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Is I realized that I
Well, you
wouldn't
can,
have
but it's a
the
lot
family.
more difficult. Yeah.
Well, you're
Somebody read that, please.
Matt can't get up off the floor. I don't think it's in the cards. It's true. We had a bit of a thing. We had a meeting at work where we were using the lunchroom, and I missed out on all the chairs, so I had to have somebody help me get off the floor. But no, I did actually do a bunch of stuff to try and get on the second season of Tough Enough, I
Cool.
believe it was. But it just occurred to me that as much as I loved it, maybe I don't want to see how the sausage is made, and I did kind of want to be around for a family, which I have done.
Yeah,
Good for you.
But I mean, as far as what I would like to accomplish personally in 2023, in all seriousness, I'd like to be better at this whole podcasting thing. I am getting back into the gym. I'm going to get rid of, I'm moving about 15 pounds from the midsection back up to my shoulders and back, because I was in really good shape at a few times in my life. I fell off, got back on,
That's what we do.
and I felt better. And yeah, like I have done some writing myself. Kind of lost the passion for it, frankly. I've had articles in newspapers, but maybe that's a thing too. But right now, I'm really enjoying the podcasting thing, so I want to be able to do
Yeah.
this. I have a little side one as well that is sort of in a stalled state, but I'm hoping to get one knocked out probably when I get back from Seattle. As a year in wrestling review, but I am absolutely enjoying this. I've spent a lot of time public speaking in the last decade, whereas I'm hosting shows and being able to host and MC weddings and stuff. So um, yeah, I want to get better at this. I want to be able to
Yeah, me too.
drive these
Yeah.
shows for you guys. If you guys want to do, the Metallica podcast where I won't have much but Poke the Bear, be able to do all these pulling up clips and whatnot. If you want to do a World of Warcraft where I will have nothing to say on that except
Yeah.
ask, much like with the World Cup stuff, where it's
Yeah.
I am the idiot that knows nothing, so I ask the stupid questions,
Yeah.
and I am the guy you have to explain things to. But that's where I'm at, and this is all because you guys are fucking rad, and Mike had this idea, and it's something that I've been enjoying sinking my teeth into. So I think we all have little projects.
Yeah, we have our
and
side
I'm excited.
projects. Yeah, and then the podcast is obviously we're gonna see how far we can go with it this year, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Start exploring some different things, and
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we're closing in on 2 hours, we got a double album in, boys.
Look at us.
So thanks specifically to Sarah and Sherry that were hanging out in the comments.
Thank
Sherry,
you.
I'm sending him back. You can send him back to his chores now. I have to go and do some dad stuff. And
Mike
thank you.
secretly told us to go an hour long because he has chores to do.
Absolutely. Can we go another hour? That'd be great.
No, because I have to drive to Chilliwack.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so for Sebastian, for Mike, and for myself here at the Inn of Auld Lang Syne, have a great 2023. I hope you guys all have fantastic years out there listening to us. Let's all have some great stuff going. We are post pandemic. Let's keep it that way. And on behalf of the boys and myself, good afternoon.
Happy New
See
Year.
ya.